Hey, yo, Paradox Line. What's up? Good to see you, my brother. Gonna hang out, just have a little conversation tonight. Couple friends. You maybe have seen them around. Freedom Grower. There's P. Walcott. What's up? Yeah, I hear you about the D Live. I spent a lot of time over there, and it's unfortunately I just don't have the time to set up all my things to go to D Live right now. So I just figured I'd do it here on YouTube. Freedom Grows filthy. Yeah, he gets his hands dirty. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Do you have headphones? Oh, deep water, black and cold like the night. I stand with arms wide open. I've run a distant line. I'm a stranger in the eyes of the maker. I could not see for the fog in my eyes. I could not fear for the fear in my life. From across the great divide, in the distance I saw a light. John the Baptist walking to me with the maker. My body was bent and broken from long and dangerous sleep. I can't work the fields of Abraham and turn my head away. I'm not a stranger in the hands of the maker. Brother John, have you seen the homeless daughters standing there with broken wings. I've seen the flaming swords, they're over east of Eden, burning in the eyes of the Maker, burning in the eyes of the Maker, burning in the eyes of the Maker. Oh, river, rise from your sleep. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone away. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone away. You know you've done me wrong, and you'll be sorry someday. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone from me. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone from me. Though I'll live on, so sorry I'll be. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone for good. The thrill is gone, the thrill is gone for good. Now that it's all over, like a good man should, I'm free, I'm free from your spell. I'm free, free, free now, baby. I'm free from your spell. Now that it's all over, all I can do is wish you well. Yo, Ted Sommer, David Wolf, what's up? Bill Miller. I saw Rose. How's it going? Just playing a little bit before Freedom joins me. That should be the name of a song I write, When Freedom Joins Me. I feel when it comes to this concept of freedom, like I'm way ahead of things. So I need to write a song from the perspective of when freedom finds me. That's something Freedom would say. I'm just filling in for both of us tonight. Rethink everything. What's up? Sean Becker. How's it going? My screen is so small. When freedom joins me, when freedom joins me, there'll be plenty of people by my side. When freedom joins me, there'll be plenty of people by my side. By my side. When freedom joins me, when rethink everything joins me, it's gonna be time for a ride. For a ride. When rethink everything joins me, we're gonna see about everything. Joins me. Oh, freedom joins me. Well, they tell us they're exploring outer space, but it's all fake. It's fucking fake. $60 million every day is what we pay. They fucking take, 'cause we're brainwashed, trained to believe a man-made dark cosmology, trapped set by evil fuckers many centuries ago, to dupe the population and take control of the world. We've seen it all before. It's the oldest play in the book, fishing for souls by baiting the devil's hook. Wizards and warlocks practicing evil and magic, cooked up a plan they call the plan science, sprinkle all that bullshit with some formulas and math that make themselves look great. Cause only they'd understand. They gain the faith of the masses while they push theories and lies, try to make us slaves and feel godless inside. I try, godless inside. So they try, and we all roll over and say, go ahead, NASA. your fucking way. Why can't we see so much farther than they say? 50 miles plus across the ocean on a clear blue day. And why would they say that's a mirage you're looking at? Yeah, right, that's not science. That's just a load of bogus math. Use your eyes and a zoom lens. Spot an object far across the sea. That's all it takes to prove there's no bend to be seen. Look for any curve and it just leads you to the fact. We got hills and valleys, but the rest is flat. It's fucking flat. Ooh, it's fucking flat. Ooh, it's fucking flat. Ooh, it's fucking flat. And look who we have.
Yo, what's up?
Oh.
What's happening?
How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm fantastic. How about yourself, Kristen?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, only through one ear. It's kind of weird. I think I got a messed up headphone here. Yeah, I'm going to have to switch this cord out.
It's not your ear.
Test.
Technology, right? Tricknology.
It's the tricknology, man. It's always messing with me.
It's messing with everyone. I've been hearing people talk about, like, they're just having conversations, and, you know, like, as soon as you get into a topic, before you know it, your stream gets choppy, and, you know, it's like everything gets wonky with your connection, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because now it's like fixing itself, and then it's going away.
Yeah.
I can hear you through both ears, but I can only hear me through one, so which is kind of funny, but I guess I could deal with that.
So wait, you hear me in one ear and yourself in the other?
No, I hear me in only one ear, in the right ear, but you I hear in both.
Oh, I got that.
That's what a weird glitch, man. It's like,
dude, I thought you were like an AV wizard, didn't you?
Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, aren't you like an
no.
AV? Can you
Did
hear?
I lose you?
I'm here.
It looks like you froze, man. I'm still here. You froze, man.
Am I back?
You're back. You're back in style.
See, that was almost on cue, wasn't it?
That was amazing. Here, let me switch something real quick. Oh, wait. As I fiddle with that, yeah, it's definitely the headphone. I'm going to switch this real quick just to try this.
All right.
Okay. Look at these big old muffs. Test. That's even worse. There's got to be a problem with my
That's killer.
It's something with the preamp. Okay, I'm gonna switch back.
I'm just
Oh well, it's totally functional.
Oh yeah.
Not messing with me to a degree where I can't hear anything. So
Hey, do you have your guitar there?
Back in. Actually, what if I take this off here? Maybe this will fix it. Because it just looks like it's a touchy connection, and I think it needs a proprietary connector.
Oh yeah.
Test. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. There we go. That's it. All right. Up, lost you again. You're frozen. Hey, Joey, Max Vision, Bill Miller.
Yo. Am I back?
Back in style, man. Sean Becker.
Great to see you. I love Max Vision.
That guy rocks. He's got amazing insight into the foam, into the quantum.
One of the nicest guys in the world, too.
He dives deep into the realms of the unexplainable. Very nice guy. Yep. It's great energy. And he's a fellow grower of the vegetables,
Yeah.
He's growing the biodynamic, nutrient-rich food, organics.
Oh, my gosh. We got into it on Country Gravy's stream today on D Live. We started talking about all kinds of stuff. It was like, it got onto a floating barge, the grow barge, and the whole idea of actually going offshore and just having a grow property offshore where you've got like a desalinization process going. And then we started into aquaponics, thinking like, wow, if you're out on the ocean, you could do a lot with the nutrients of the ocean, with the seaweed and the kelp. And then we were thinking like, a lot of good fishing. You could actually go out fishing and use the fish as fertilizer in your grow barge. You know what I'm talking?
This is such synchronicity because today I was at this lake fishing with my family, and in the kind of public communal area was this rusted out barge, gigantic flotilla type craft that had seen better days or something. And I'm like, what is this ugly thing doing sitting here? Right. Yeah. And the government probably has to hate it there because it's in the middle of a paid for area or whatever, where you can congregate and fish and, do all this stuff. And I'm thinking, geez, man, maybe that's meant to be. We'll make a flotilla out of this thing and turn it into a moving, floating garden.
I mean, think about it. Wouldn't it be cool if you actually had motor power and you could just like pull up to some spot with a big bushy garden, like sprouting off your boat, and you got like this really ripe environment where everyone that you pull up to on the dock is watching you pull up with this garden. Like, I'm thinking like a party barge, they're like 24 feet long.
That's what this was. Yeah, this was an old retired party barge, no question about it. It was a big ass one too. And I mean, the tanks all looked in good shape. They were just rusted. It just appeared maybe it had been on the lake when a windstorm came through or something. This is a pretty high elevation area where it can get pretty intense. But yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you could go with that. I keep thinking about storage containers and how they kind of put you off the ground a bit, and you could build sunrooms on them because everybody's using these storage containers for extra space or even as part of their dwellings. And I've got one. So that's a project I'm really in the middle of. I'm about to start it. I'm in the middle of thinking it out, I should say, and about to start it. I'm so full of shit. I'm right in the middle of it. No, but honestly, this is...
Dude, I am in the thick of just getting started thinking about
this building that I'm in. I'm going to tear apart to use for the materials. Oh, because when I built this, I wasn't as skilled as I am now. Not that I'm greatly skilled, but I have a lot better carpentry skills now. I mean, I can square something up and level it, and I can build buildings. Yeah. And when I built this, man, I had took somebody else's shitty work and then tried to pile on that. Yeah, it's a big pile of shit. But so I will do it, man. I'm going to build a sunroom, big grow room on top of a storage container.
I'm thinking about trying it with milk cartons, like the milk crates, the plastic ones, and then like filling them with like recyclable bottles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you basically can make pontoons out of bottles, but you just hold them together with the milk crates, and the water just kind of flows in between all the, the things. And you basically frame the whole outside of, let's say, a sheet of plywood, and you've got a little dock there. that floats.
It's
Now,
got to have the caps on them. So like all the orange juice bottles, milk bottles.
yeah, all the caps would be on them. So
And it can't be a milk bottle because it has to be something with a screw cap where it legitimately will hold that air.
yeah,
Otherwise, it becomes a deficit to your cause. You know, it ends up filling up with water and
totally. Even I mean, even some of these bottles just through I don't know, just small particles, I guess, making it through or leaching through could possibly get into the. I don't know how long it would take for water to actually enter a plastic bottle from the outside,
I
but
bet a long time. Like those orange juice bottles,
yeah,
you know, those seal up pretty damn good, man.
yeah,
I think you do all right. But you know, maybe that would be even if say a tenth of them failed over a year, that could pile up to where eventually, you know,
yeah,
your system's sinking. So it is something to think about.
yeah,
Uh, however, like even just taking all that shit and recycling it into little bubbles meant for the purpose.
yeah.
If it was done on any grand scale, I mean, the economics of it could be figured out pretty quickly. But
Think about just using recyclable bottles to make a bladder that fits inside of milk cartons. You know what I'm saying? And so all the milk cartons are latched together, and then on top of the milk cartons is a plank. I mean a sheet of plywood, and like that would become the basic unit, like an 8x4 unit. But then you can just like keep attaching these things. You know, like if you make it smartly, then you can just like go modular and just like add another 4x8, you know, to the setup. And
mm-hmm.
I see Sean was saying something about distilling water. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm not sure in a submarine they use like I've got one of these reverse osmosis filters, and I'm not sure if that's maybe you could just have a sun powered reverse osmosis system that is squeezing the salt out of the water, and then you know there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be something proprietary anyway, because I bet a traditional RO would get clogged up pretty quickly trying to desalinate water. But you
What
know
I was
what you could do
about.
is you could do a distiller. You
Yeah,
could do a good distiller, and that would work great. You know.
yeah, just keep it like while the sun is shining, you got a system of distilling the water and just feeding it back in with like a bunch of really awesome nutrients from the ocean. You know, have you ever have? Is there something in the grow community that is ocean based nutrients that you can add to crops and stuff?
Oh, totally.
Kelp,
Yeah, I mean everything is everything. Kelp is a lot of nitrogen.
yeah,
You can use your crustacean meal. A lot of people will use seaweeds and things like that as fertilizers. There's plenty of, you know, the biology is what turns it into actual nutrition for the plant. So as long as it can be broken down, it has some kind of makeup, even newspaper on some level. But you know,
yeah,
everything can be composted, right, and then brought back into, well, not everything, I should say, but a lot of stuff that we use that gets thrown in the landfill, if it's any kind of leafy green or uh, a food that could be broken down, it can go right back into the garden and
yeah.
grow and make great food. Uh, I forgot what the hell we were talking about, man.
No, I was just thinking, like, even if you had a garden in your backyard, are there commercial products that are sea-based fertilizers that do you just buy them by the
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. I use a product called C90, and it's minerals all from the sea. So somehow they figured out how to dry this stuff down. So it's, you know, you hear some people that put Epsom salt in their soil because of the mineral content, the trace minerals. But this is a much more balanced way of doing it, apparently. And that stuff is great. Yeah. I mean, anytime you can get trace minerals back into the soil, that's going to be positive. And so the sea products can help you with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton of other stuff I can't think of, but that's what you were asking me, is what comes out of the ocean that could be used to recreate a good garden.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, really everything but excess salt, right? Which
yeah.
is funny because all the bottled nutrients, they're all synthetic chelated salts. And that's what makes them a poor growing product, because they end up building up in your soils. So yeah, it would be the same thing with the sea products. You know, if you get too much salts, that could be a bad thing.
Well, let me ask you this. If you're desalinating and you're making your water for your garden, can you actually take the byproduct of that and remove salt from that and just end up with the I'm sure at some level you could extract the salts that are in there and just be left with the positive nutrients in there, you know?
It's probably exactly how they make that C90 product. You know, they charge a schmuck like me $30 for a pound of it. And they basically took a distiller of, you know, Fukushima water. So I probably got the radiated version, but I'm sure that's what they did. And that's what it looks like, is because I distill water all the time. We're on a well here. I just like distilled water. Some people get all weird about it, that it's too acidic, but to me, it's very cleansing and detoxifying.
Yeah.
So long story short, or short story long, I'll end up seeing everything that comes out of the well water, and it's disgusting, but that looks like exactly what you'd get if you distilled seawater, is what this C90 stuff is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to try at minimum, you know, I mean, in small doses, or you could take it and make some kind of monoatomic or colloidal type solution with it.
Right.
And that might be a better way to administer it in small doses. Because, you know, with organics, you never want to move too quickly, no matter what you're doing. You're building something up. I mean, unless, I guess, you got a pest infestation, maybe you want to move quickly then, try to, you know, get on top of that. But aside from that, usually when it comes to your soil, you're adding things slowly, small amounts over time, and then that's how you build it up.
Yeah.
And I'd say it'd be the same thing with any kind of stuff like that.
Well, we got onto the idea of aquaponics on a floating thing, and then we were like, well, you know, you could have fish on board, and it's like a floating freshwater pond. If you think about it, it's crazy, but you'd have a floating pond that would have like this amazing culture, life going, you know, with fish swimming around and everything like that, and all of that would be feeding your crops, you know, like the people that do it. And then someone, I think it was Net TV, said, well, why wouldn't you just do that on the land? And we were like, well, that's a
It's like the South Park moment of that, like, new vehicle they made.
yeah, we had gone full circle and we got to the point, but then it was like, well, you do, if you use the sun and the seawater, you do have an unlimited source of water at your disposal.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
So you do have that.
But what about doing it on a lake too?
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to put this.
Cool thing is,
I'm not trying to promote. Can I put C90 into your
oh yeah,
chat here?
totally.
They want to know what it is. It's a fertilizer for hydroponics. Supposed to be OMRI recognized, so it is organic.
Dude, you know this is going to get my stream yanked, right? They're going to be like, they're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm not going to put it. Just go look at it yourself, you guys. All you got to do is Google it. You'll find it. SEA 90. It's organic fertilizer, and it's it's high level information. You definitely don't want to share it on YouTube. They'll definitely cut you off for that.
YouTube. I love it.
But here's the thing, man. I mean, I love this Oasis, dude. I want one of these things. I want a big one, my own island version. I can see it floating out there, bottles, but it's like super pimp up top and bottles on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Or even you know, something on a lake. I could see it. But I've always thought I could live differently like that. You know, I've always thought, oh, I could live in a sail or some kind of, I could be a sailor, you know, I could have a ship and go around, or I could be a hermit and live under a tree. Most people,
This is why I love you, buddy. Because
yeah,
you
but
can.
most people aren't that way. They want to live more sophisticated, right?
Yeah. No, I've got buddies that are sailors, you know, and they've got a very interesting life as you know, commercial sailors and you know, but at the same time it's a path that brings like all kinds of unique perspective to your life, you know. Must be
It sure
amazing.
does.
But what's the miles off the coast that you have to go before you're in international waters? Because that could be kind of interesting if you were to just be able to like have a grow barge outside the boundaries, you know, like in international waters. Maybe you could tuck it in if there were storms coming or something like that. But for the most part, you'd actually be in total freedom. You know, you'd be out there with in no jurisdiction.
I see where you're going with this now. That's crazy.
10
That's
miles,
deep
right?
game.
Once you're
That's
10
deep
miles
game.
out, you're no longer part. Seriously, you'd have a floating. You'd be growing all your food on a floating island that's got a nice motor on it, so you can make it to places if you need.
Yeah. Well, strength in numbers too. You'd have to create flotillas of these things because of the pirates, dude. We'd have to be ready to fucking get gangster on it quick, man. You
Well,
know, when they came to take all the assets, you need a militia on site ready to defend and take out any foreign or domestic threat, man. So you're basically, you could make it its own country though, and consider it like a sovereign nation. Like, hey, fuck all you. There was not one motherfucking free place on this whole damn whatever the fuck we're on.
right.
And you all didn't give us any other options. So we took a bunch of plastic bottles. We formed our own nation under the fucking plastic god, plastic, you know, Jesus you guys sold us. And we're creating a good foundation on your rubble, on your shifting sands of bullshit. Now we just, you know, we'll defend ourselves. So we got to go with, you know, it's the same thing as back to the original
If we're growing
Constitution. You
tomatoes,
have to have a way to defend it. So
if we're growing tomatoes, we definitely have that going for us. Like, you know, if it comes down to it, we can.
oh, we'll be the greatest producers in the whole world, man. We'll grow the best food. Everybody will want to actually export from the plastic galaxy we create. The problem is, like I say, military industrial complex. They want to, like, you know, melt the plastic. They will. They'll heat the waters up. They'll boil them.
It'll
so
be
that all the plastic melts.
those high energy weapons.
We'll sink to the Plastonia.
Dude, I was thinking Polyester Island. Polyester.
I like it. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, you're right though. It would present such a unique way of life. They'd be like, we've got to shut this thing down.
Well, it would work. That's the crazy thing. All it takes is the perseverance, you know, the willing desire to actually be free, and people will figure out all kinds of innovative ways. They obviously work against that when anything like that takes root. So it'd have to be a mass type of exodus movement. People just saying, we're done. We're out of here. We're going to the plastic island. We've seen the light. There's a better land. It's just like the same migration that happened, you know, to the New World when the Pilgrims came over, the Puritans, and they were leaving the Britain and all this for this sacred land. The same thing will happen with Plastonia. The whole world will start migrating, and we'll go around and pick them up. You know what I mean? Because we can. So we'll float. We'll stay in international waters, but we'll go just close enough that people, if they want to, they can make the trip. It's just like leaving Alcatraz. You may get eaten by sharks, but you may become free. So it's up to you.
Think about that. You just cruise around in this huge raft that's like 4 miles by 4 miles, right? And people just keep linking up, right? It's like you see someone floating off of Cuba, and it's just like they're in international waters, and maybe it's open source, like you have the design specs all open so anyone around the world can get a hold of the plans to build one of these, and if you build it to spec, it will lock in with the others perfectly, you know.
But on a small scale, just like people who choose to take their family in a ship and they sail for years all over the world. I mean, plenty have done it. You have a point. You could make some kind of system like that is actually more sustainably thought out with the intention of being a long-term living circumstance that was economical, just created that type of ability that I don't think, I mean, maybe someone's done it, but I haven't seen a watercraft. By the way, it doesn't have to just be a watercraft too. You could make one that's amphibious, right? Or the land and water. Yeah. But if you had one, like it turns into a fucking motorhome and then has the barge things on the side.
Well, that's why I was asking about the, how much space would you need? And you were talking about these 1 gallon kale containers, and those things look, I mean, when you talk about being able to grow plenty of nutrient dense vegetables with 1 gallon containers, that's pretty powerful, you know. And if you think about
just low energy, high output types of vegetables. Not everything does that, but kale, radishes, all your leafy greens and lots of root vegetables are pretty high production for low energy. Your herbs are another good category. But if we I'm telling you, the kale is, if you get into it, it's a life changer. It's great.
I've got to give it a shot. How do you start you just start it like with the end of something else?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, what are you saying as far as like how to actually consume it? You just like choke it down?
No. Do you start it from seed, kale?
Yeah, start it inside from seed. I'll start it in the small little cups, and then I'll put them in those 1 gallon containers. And like I say, I mean, if you ran out like a 4x8, I've never actually done this in the zone that I was saying. I run them everywhere and I get tons of kale out of them. But I was thinking if you actually dedicated a 4x8, and then after I said this, I second guessed myself because I'm not into monocropping. I think that's part of having a healthy,
monocropping,
productive, well, just having one type of crop in there.
Oh, okay.
So by having biodiversity or breaking up the different types of plants into what works well as a companion or even a seasonal cover. So some plants are only meant to be there for a short bit, but they provide a little bit of food, like the snap peas or other things are meant to work together for the long term. And figuring all that out is definitely the best way to do your garden. I think even indoors, if you're going to grow a variety of things. But here's the deal. As long as you have clean soil, clean containers, you're got a good quality Russian kale seed, I think you'd have no problems. You'd kill it. And if you needed to spray for something, maybe you'd have a little essential oil stuff on the side just for integrated pest management.
Yeah.
But I think, and then maybe, so that 4x8, you could cut it into a quarter and do a little 2x2 section over here with kale, another little section where you've got some salads going, another little section with a variety of different herbs, and then another different section there with a bunch of different beans that are crawling all over around that 4x8.
Yeah.
So you're getting vertical as well. And yeah, you could do it on a boat. And now with LEDs, you could make that stuff really productive because you can increase your light hours. So, make a little sunroom thing on the boat.
Yeah.
And then when it's off hours, the solar has charged a couple of 12-volt batteries, and they're running a couple of 100-watt LEDs to add an additional 4 to 6 hours of light. And then that thing is killing it. You're getting kale out of the garden every day.
How cool would that be? You can set up something where you have like some kind of source of heat in there, wood burning stove or something, and make it like this cool cabin that has all the essentials that you have in well organized thing. And you could really kind of, if you're in an area, let's say you had a couple anchors as well. So like if you needed to just like stay in one spot, you could drop an anchor, right? Or two, and just stay.
Yep.
And that would be fun. You could also, if it didn't have a motor on it, you could, if it got really big, you're beyond being able to power it with a motor. But what you would be able to do is tug it to better locations, and you could just like keep tugging it down south, in international waters, just keep going down towards Florida, and then like back up, and then
I lost you there, brother.
Oh,
wouldn't that be something though?
Yeah, if you actually,
that would be quite a different change from. Hey, there you are, buddy.
Yeah, I'm back.
They cut you off.
It could be my computer. Maybe my computer trying to do too much.
Yep.
It's an older Mac, but I was thinking, if it got cold in the Northeast, let's say, you could just keep going down south, outside the Carolinas, and down to Florida, and then at some point you're down there during the winter time, and you're catching lots of great sunshine down there all through the winter months, and then like you slowly start working your way back up to the Boston area, let's say, Nova Scotia and stuff, or whatever, and you just keep kind of like going around in there. You could have a tugboat that takes you around to locations and then anchor down.
I mean, really every structure ever built could have been predicated on great food. You could have had skyscrapers where the tops, they have all that sun exposure, and they're just, I mean, imagine how beautiful they'd be too. Imagine what a statement that would be for a country such as ours that has been so consumer driven, and everything is always stopped at the square, right on top of the fucking building.
Yeah.
But now if all these buildings had just this beautiful different grasses coming off and beautiful vineyards and fucking amazing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it became like a trend where in those buildings, they had restaurants at the bottom that all the food, amazing food that you could go tour the garden and see how it was being grown, is then being, even on a posh, ritzy Ritz level for the people that they don't want to give up their great lifestyle. Hey, it works for you too, you fuckers. You can have great food and be healthy and have it all too. And I can do it in a van down by the river. I can have but I see how it's like, it's just because our intention was flawed, or however you want to look at it, was just wrongly placed when it comes to health and good food.
Yeah, totally. It would make a pretty amazing statement. And I like Max's idea. Max was like saying that you could generate energy from the waves, like wave energy. If you got any kind of buoy.
You don't need a lot either. It's crazy.
No.
I mean, if you can get a 200 watt LED going, that's a lot of light, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm growing all these tomatoes with a 300 watt LEC, and I don't need that much light, but I mean, I can grow a bunch more than I got back there right now.
Can you grow tomatoes all year round where you are with the lights you have?
Inside, not outside.
Yeah. Inside.
I can't even grow tomatoes outside, period, here.
But
I'll get like a couple little teeny.
With the lights you have, you can actually get them to turn into big tomatoes.
I haven't done it a lot, to be quite frank with you, but I had really good results this time, and I was surprised that I was so productive, because I've heard a lot of people say, you won't get a ton of fruits, but like this guy right here, let me see if I can grab it.
Hey, everyone in the chat, Rasta Bear Brian Walcott. Tobin Schwing's got some
Oh, I see. I got the green screen on. Here, let me shut that off.
it's pretty trippy, dude.
Okay, let's see. Video. Cam and Mike. Green screen. None. There we go. Yeah, so you can see I got a bunch of little guys here, you know, one there, one there, one there, one
Nice.
there, one there, one there, a fruit there, a fruit there, a fruit there, fruit there, a fruit there. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
But
11,
you
12.
got some good you got some good sunlight on them at this point, right? In the season.
Well, these are just indoor. So I got my outdoor is a bunch of raised beds and it's rocking, but it's all leafy greens, root vegetables, herbs, and things that will do well at high elevation. They can manage with the hail, the harsh temps. I mean, I had 4 inches of snow. If you look at my last YouTube video, 4 inches of snow in June, just yesterday.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, we got someone new on the stream here. How's it going?
Cool.
How you
Hey
doing?
guys. Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Yo, what's up, doctor?
Hey guys. Sorry I'm
Cheers,
so
brother.
late. I kept
no
having
worries.
computer problems. I tried to get in and the screen went and anyways, I'm here now, so good to go.
Hey, we haven't met. What's your name? Dr. Firefly?
Dr. Firefly, you can call me Doc. My real name's Justin, so you can call me Justin, whatever. It's whatever people are most comfortable calling me. So
Awesome. I'm Christian, and you know Freedom.
I do.
Cheers,
guys-
brother. Great to see you.
You watch Freedom's stream on D Live?
I do.
He's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You
I
guys
gotta
are
tell
too
you,
kind.
You're working on some pretty tough riffs over there. That you're taking on some of Jerry Garcia's like most classic,
Gratefully dedicated, man.
and you're ripping into them. They're sounding pretty tasty.
Thank you. It's not easy to try to fill those shoes, of course, but I have wanted to learn that stuff for a long, long time. So I'm just woodshedding, doing it a bit publicly, which, you know, I think some people maybe would get it faster than me. I'm a little bit of a slow learner, but we're making progress, man. We really are. And it's fun.
I love watching the process and seeing you work through like a solo of sorts and
Yeah.
I love watching Country Gravy as well.
He's awesome.
kind of-
Dude's a natural talent, man.
That
He
guy
really is.
unbelievable. And
Have you checked out Firefly's channel? Have you seen what he does over there?
No. What do you?
Oh, it's spectacular, man. His channel is top rate, best info, man. Really, like he's got a real active farm that he's showing live.
So yeah, what I do is I teach people farming, off-grid living. Most of the time my stream's 24/7, so you can usually see what's going on my farm. And then a couple times a day we'll do different types of shows, and we'll talk about raising the different types of animals, or we'll go for a walk up in the mountain and we'll talk about living, what it's like to live out in the middle of nowhere. Being that I was a city kid, I grew up in the inner city, and then 15 years ago I moved out here to southern West Virginia. And so I have 33 acres, pretty much, nearest store to me is about a half an hour away. So pretty isolated, but man, do I love it. Awesome.
What's it like living in the middle of nowhere?
It's a dream, but it's a dream and a nightmare on the same aspect. The nightmare is I was a socialite. Like I loved being around people. I loved having groups of people, and I moved into an area that the culture doesn't necessarily fit my mindset.
Okay.
And so like making good quality friends was a harder thing to do around here. Also, West Virginia being so much older, like the mass of the population here is so much older that a lot of those folks just don't get some of my mindset.
Yeah.
Got
That's
it.
so interesting, dude. That's awesome that you went and did something like that. What kind of are you pretty much free from any kind of intrusion? Like you pay like to be part of a township, or what are you part of? Are you part of a town there?
No.
No, so it's just kind of like you got a plot of land that
So we have no zoning here.
no zoning.
Yeah, no zoning. So I actually know most of the volunteer firefighters, but the volunteer firefighters are not even in my county. So we actually, because we're so close, we voluntarily pay the volunteer fire department so that they cover our property. Because we wouldn't even be covered by that. I've actually, in the 15 years I've lived here, I've had to call the police twice, and they both times just said you can just deal with it.
Wow.
So we had a
How do you
community
like them apples?
we had a community meeting about 3 years ago where we invited the county sheriff. The county sheriff sent one of his deputies. They gave us a copy of West Virginia castle law so that each of us had it, and then advised us the best plan of action if someone was breaking into our property, or if someone was around our property and we didn't know what to do. And pretty much in a nutshell, the deputy sheriff says, we really like it when only one person can fill out this paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So we've dealt with crime here. The first year I lived here, there was a guy going around breaking into old people's houses, and he had been in and out of prison a handful of times, and people just got tired of it. So they caught him one night, drove him out picked him up. Around where I live, there's a state forest. They took him 5 miles on a 4-wheeler into a state forest and tied him to a tree.
Wow.
That
Left him there, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Did
he
just
he didn't die,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but he
just
moved.
like?
He moved. He doesn't live anywhere around here anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but that would be kind of like Wild Wild West, or it's.
But that's super rare. That's the first time it happened in 15 years. We've only ever had one event like that.
Okay.
Are you anywhere near Nitro?
I'm not that close to Nitro, but I know where Nitro's at. Okay. Have you driven down 77, Interstate 77?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Do you know where if you're going through the last toll and you look up and you see a bunch of cell phone towers on top of a mountain?
Okay, yeah.
I live right under those cell phone towers.
Oh my God. That's killer, dude. You get a lot of radiation up there, like the 5G towers?
There is no 5G here yet where we live. And I've been working on a variety of trying to deal with that. This particular year, one of our big projects that we're doing on the stream is I'm going to be building a Faraday cage for all of my bees, because I think that's what's killing my bees every year.
That's a good starting spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you could harness it, maybe it'd be good for your crop growing. You know, you get some 5G on that action freedom. I would imagine that's like a pretty awesome sauce, right? Sprinkle on a little of that 5G.
Well, so if you want to talk, I've actually researched a lot of 5G, and to be truthfully honest, like 5G's doesn't scare me as much as it used to.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. I still don't want it anywhere around me. But after I understand the technology a little bit, I'm more concerned. I'm at this particular point more concerned about the equipment that they're going to ask us to put in our houses than the tower that's going to be out there.
Yeah. Like the smart meters?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just a quick little way of how I understand 5G. 5G sends beam signals, but it only sends the beam signal when it's being requested. So for someone like me, if I don't have any 5G equipment, if they put a 5G tower up behind me and I have no 5G equipment set at my house and my neighbors don't have any 5G equipment, the 5G beam will never come my direction because
Oh,
there's no reason for it to come my direction, because for them to save bandwidth and for them to save power, they only want to send it in the direction of where the signal's being sent. And to make it so that it's super fast, it's just they send little packets at a time.
yeah.
So unlike
Yeah.
the umbrella tactic that they're doing now, it's a beam tactic. But the problem that's going to occur is when they convince us to put a modem up, a 5G modem in our house, then that 5G
Right.
modem's just going to get constantly beamed and hit and hit and hit. And then that's where it becomes really dangerous.
I gotcha.
Or if you live in a city where your neighbors are all going to have 5G stuff, it's just going to be always on, always bombarding you.
Yeah. That also is
yeah.
part of the scariness of the 5G was the directional aspect of it, where people are thinking that, hey, listen, if you actually become a target, they could actually just kind of like point a couple towers right to your spot where you're standing and give you, you know, basically a lethal dosage of radiation just by targeted beams, you know? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's a little bit scary that you have like a network of assassination towers.
Yeah.
But
Everything should be built these days with some kind of Faraday cage in mind, I think, or just make the whole structure Faraday ready.
I'll tell you, you know, Justin, we were actually talking about being out in the water. If we could build a floating grow barge and just like take our freedom and just go floating, we were talking about plastic bottles being put together to make like basically like a big floating island that would have all kinds of growing
Or multiple ones, a flotilla of them.
Yeah, like you link them together and you have like basically gardens that are floating out in the ocean, and you could take them places and actually use the water if you desalinated the water and or distilled it and like use that for the crops, and basically had like kind of a really kind of out there existence.
Use the heat of the sun to distill it, you know, because you got a solar for the.
I think it's a really fun idea. But
Come on, don't shut us down, Dr.
Okay.
Firefly.
I won't shut you down. Great idea, guys. I love it.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. We were playing around, dude, on some levels with it too, where it's like there'd be a mass migration of the whole populace, just like there was to America. It'd be the mighty new free land. The best food would be developed there, and we'd have self-defense, a true constitution.
My two biggest issues with is that hurricanes really do exist. They're not a figment of our imagination. And
you could move the flotilla around.
Yeah,
so
okay.
that when we got that, we'll just
Okay.
move to where
Option-
the waters are safe.
Option 2 is the PAT bacteria that that actually breaks down PET plastic, and PET plastic would be the plastic that you'd
There.
actually want to use for the thing. If you got infected with that type of plastic, you would just your place would be biodegradable pretty quickly.
So if you went into waters where that biology was, you're saying it would just
Yes.
deteriorate your.
Yeah, it would break
Nice.
it down because it's
Break
you know
the
if
down.
We kind
ahead.
of hit on that, so that was actually our concern.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
How long would the bottles last? Now, we did say, you know, like if you have a pretty much unlimited source of bottles every year, you could refill your pontoons with fresh.
I mean, it's such a crazy idea, but when you start poking at it, you're like, it actually work, you know? It's like,
okay, if you chose to do this on a cold freshwater lake, you would probably do very well.
Yeah.
bingo.
Because this doesn't really that you don't have some of the issues. A cold water lake, you're not usually going to have a hurricane come over a cold water
Right.
lake.
Right.
Just
and you're-
not as treacherous.
Yeah, and you're not going to have that same type of bacteria. And if you set it up right, you can be migratory so that you're moving into the warmer waters during the extremely cold, and then back up into the colder waters during the summer months of that particular
Yeah.
region, either northern or southern area.
But I'll tell you, it would be pretty cool to be out in the middle of a lake, so far out that you basically can't see anything, and have your own floating island out there with a whole bunch of people. Now, you'd still be in the jurisdiction of whatever state the lake is in and stuff like that. And one of the things I did like is the idea that you could pick up new citizens just by driving.
Floating around. Hey, you know what? There's so many people that need a home. Imagine, okay, because the biggest thing would be people would complain they're ugly, right? But if you actually could process the plastic and turn them into pontoon style homes economically, where you could take public lake systems that are not necessarily fish, because there's ones where there's algae on it. They're trying to figure out how to cover it. They try to cover them with black plastic balls. Why not have a flotilla on there that covers it up? People could be out there, literally living. I mean, and you could put gardens on it. There is a true.
Have you guys seen the guy? He's in I want to say he's in Alberta, but he's in his 70s now. But when he was in his 30s, he bought some land that had a big lake on it, and then every year he added a new. Now his doesn't free float, but he built his own pontoons, and then he has cords connecting him to the shores. But he's like really far out there in certain spots, and every year he adds a new island to his mix.
We
lost Firefly.
I heard that all. That's weird. You lost him, but I didn't lose him.
Oh, okay. I lost him there for a minute.
Think about this, dude. We could actually go to Chicago and take all the undesirables in Chicago, just put them on a raft, and push them out into the lake, far enough that none of the people in the city would have to deal with the homeless. You just give them a house.
Nah, it wouldn't be that. They'd have a better. They would never allow it because they'd probably work productively together and create an amazing oasis. Yeah.
Well, I really liked your idea. You were talking about church parking lots and what kinds of cool structures could be in there, and growing opportunities and stuff like that. There are definitely. And Justin, we were also talking about commercial real estate opportunities. Like after this whole pandemic thing, there's going to be like entire malls that never make it back, So it's going to basically be a big empty structure for the next 30 years until someone does something with it.
So let me go ahead.
My thinking was like, is there any way that a system for working with the town and stuff like that could be constructed to really go into dive areas like commercial real estate that has failed, and to turn it into something like in my town, we have a Denny's that's a real big eyesore right at a major intersection. It used to be Denny's. They took all the signage down, but now it's just like an old diner building that's on this, this big intersection. And it's probably going to be there for the next 15 years. And, we were thinking, I was thinking if we could turn this particular place into something that would be an asset for the town and construct some kind of win-win-win situation for the people, the community, get the high schools working with it, and really harnessing the sun that's coming in and supplementing it with other types of growing lights and stuff like that. But turn it into kind of a focal point for the town instead of an eyesore, which it currently is. So this is kind of like a continuation of our brainstorms that Freedom and I have been having along these lines, just kind of getting out there with ideas and stuff like that.
So let me tell you my vision.
Yeah.
It's real close to what you're talking about. So in a town not very far away, the Walmart closed. That's how bad it is in Appalachia. Like Walmart left. And so there is no place for these. There is a town. Well, there's a county that people have to drive and almost 2 hours now to go to a grocery store.
Wow.
So anyways, so this Walmart, so I've spent time looking at this Walmart. It was a Walmart supercenter. And I thought, well, that's it. That's all we need. That's all we need is a Walmart supercenter. So Walmart supercenters all have glass ceilings. If you next time you go into Walmart, look around, you're going to see spots where the ceiling is open and it's open to the sky. Walmart also is also wired in for a sprinkler system. Okay, so you got your water system already set up there.
Irrigation, yeah.
You got your
Very
irrigation. You've got your bathrooms. You bring in some shipping containers or whatever kind of tiny houses, and you design. And inside Walmart, you start building livable structures for people for like things of that sort. You also put in some studios for different types of work. You take the areas where they're growing the food, or where the lights coming in, either in the garden set or inside. You grow your food. Okay, you have this giant endless parking lot that's going to keep the temperature of your particular place warmer. Because one of the biggest things that we worry about, except for like, in the desert areas, we're always our biggest expense is heat.
Yeah.
Heat is such a big expense. Well, you got this giant parking lot that's a giant thermal mass that you can just figure out ways to take that thermal mass of that heat of that parking lot and bring it inside the building. And there's lots of different techniques to do that depending on your cost effectiveness. Yeah. So you can make pretty much the equivalent of like a biodome, except for you have an indoor town inside your Walmart. And most Walmarts are near major thoroughfares. They're either near an airport, they're near a railroad system, or they're near interstate highway. So now that functioning small community can actually sell their wares and sell their goods to the outside.
Wow, that's pretty.
And all you need is a Walmart.
All you need is a Walmart, which
they're a dead horse anyway with Amazon. I mean, people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna be popping up left and right. Walmart structures, and the thing is,
I was gonna say, I said people, but I meant to say towns are being destroyed as a result. Because they pull out and just leave the culture in shambles.
And if you think about it, if you turn it back into a thriving place, you could get a whole bunch of people commuting back to the place to work the whole setup that you got going there. How many people?
Great model.
Employ there? You probably employ like 500 people there, right?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it all would depend on like what the shifts run, but yeah, I would say somewhere between 200 to 500 people. The reason why you'd have the 200 number is if people were homesteading inside. If people were homesteading inside the Walmart, then they would be there 24/7, always tending the crops, always tending to that kind of stuff. They would have more of that year-round lifetime. Where if people were just commuting in there to do some additional work, then you would have a higher number of employees, because it is going to be a 24/7 type of work model.
Dude, you could turn it into a really cool lifestyle if you
heck yeah,
having a trailer or a RV motorhome kind of set up and having your own, like, if Walmarts are typically on huge plots of land where you got like lots of
they're selling real estate all around them because they bought everything.
Yeah, so you could have cool little almost like campsites, but you could make them slightly bigger, and the people there could be taking care of all the stuff going on inside, and basically make a village where there's no commuting, but people are still spending lots of time with their family and everything like that. So you kind of create kind of like a Renaissance like community, that's
Well, we used to do this in the United States. Now, we used to do it for really bad reasons. But like, for example, like here in the coal fields, you would have the coal company, which would build all the houses for all the coal miners. And then so they didn't have to commute very, very far. Or where I grew up in Akron, Ohio, where all the rubber factories were. So you had each of the rubber factories. So like I lived in Firestone Park, my grandparents lived in Goodyear Heights, and there was other things. And the reason for each of those villages in those different parts of the town is if you lived in Goodyear Heights, you probably worked at Goodyear. And so that because they wanted their employees so close to work, they would give extra money so that you could build your neighborhood or things of that sort. Or sometimes they would build the neighborhood just to get employees in. Now, if we took that same type of model and instead of exploiting the workers, we actually, you know, build it as a community to work with the workers, then that kind of model works very well.
Yeah.
You know, a compassionate capitalism. Like, I am a capitalist, but I believe in the compassionate capitalism, that your job as a business owner that is to make your community and everybody around you better and enriched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, that, and the thing is, who do you think owns the Walmart that went?
Walmart.
Do you think they
Walmart
still
owns the
own
real estate still.
property, or do you think they have ditched the property?
It's for sale. I could buy it right now.
And you would probably not be buying it from Walmart. You'd be buying.
You would, because they have their own real estate agency.
No,
They're
no,
one of the biggest.
You're buying it from Walmart because as of right now, every day that store's closed, even though they own the property, it's still a write-off. It's still a tax write-off.
Exactly.
So it's actually in their hands, the title to that building.
I can't confirm that completely, but when I called the number and talked to the real estate agent, it was an out-of-state real estate agent that gave me all the information, and it probably was Walmart's real estate agency.
Okay, so what's really interesting here is maybe Walmart would be down for a kind of a buyout opportunity where you go in there with zero money and you offer to revitalize the area.
I wouldn't go that angle personally. You know why I wouldn't do that?
Why?
They're smart enough to know people be lobbying them out if you create an oasis there. You got to do it, you know,
it would be even
overt.
better. It would be better to go in as a nonprofit and ask them to donate it, because in that scenario, they then can be the good guy. And if you succeed or you fail, it doesn't matter to them, because they can say, we were visionaries and we tried this thing.
They can get credit for it.
Yes, they become the good guys either
I
way.
like that.
Yeah, that is the tactic in our current America that works the best, is to get them to donate and make them feel like they're the heroes. So they have,
which they need the political,
Yes.
brownies anyway.
Well, that's not a bad plan. You know, if you actually go with the idea of, I mean, you could actually turn it into a positive promo for them if they give you
absolutely.
the property. You could basically talk about how they gave the opportunity to create this thriving village out of a place that they left abandoned. So they're making good on something that they regretted doing in the first place, you know?
Okay, so your language with what you're saying, so like how I would approach this, instead of a place that they abandoned, I would say, Walmart was a heart of this community, and due to unfortunate circumstances, they had to leave, and the town was absolutely devastated by the loss of their Walmart. Well, Walmart and nonprofit X have found a way to revitalize the community together, to bring it back as the heart of the community. That way Walmart never gets a single bit of negative press from that, and spinning it in that direction. Walmart can be like, oh, I can be proud to be behind this, even though they chose to leave. You're not blaming them for leaving, because they have to because what I've learned with all the times that I've had to deal with corporate businesses in my nonprofit, the more you can make them feel like they're doing all the work or most of the work, the more they're willing to give back to you.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it would be so sweet. How much do you think the write-off would be? How much do you think they're trying to sell that property for? When you called them, how much was the asking price?
I think 850,000.
Yeah. Wow. That's a huge space with a
it was a super Walmart with the ginormous parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this was not little play Walmart. This was one of their biggest Walmarts that they've built. They actually closed because first off, they couldn't get enough employees to work at the Walmart. here in West Virginia, we just have a tough time getting anybody to work because no one actually wants to work. And two, the population is just dropping so dramatically that they crunch the numbers and realize that in just a few years, the nearest town that in the 80s had a population of 50,000 people. When we were doing some work, because I'd worked for the census this year. When we were doing some work, it looked like that same town maybe had 5,000 this year.
Yeah.
So Walmart was just crunching numbers and realizing they couldn't get people to work. The store was too big, and it wasn't worth staying open. So it was quick on the chopping block. But again, so was every other grocery store in that town. Right now, the only place that you can buy food is either at a gas station or a Dollar General.
Yeah. Brian Walcott said, imagine the Super Bowl commercial they could make if they were to donate the thing and, convert it into a whole. Now, let me ask you about the roof. Could you actually harness the sun during this process? Is there any way you could actually take the energy from the sun and work that into the setup, or would it all be indoor growing?
So I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, but I'll answer it the way if somebody else was asking, how, knowing what I know. So what I would actually do is I would open up as much of the roof as possible to get to the floors, because the floors are cement, and the passive solar, and going down and being able to heat the floors all year round and keep that ambient temperature higher because of the thermal mass of the floors. That's what I would actually focus so much on doing. But again, I'm also thinking Appalachia. I'm not necessarily thinking other particular regions.
Yeah.
So
I'm just thinking like throughout the season, okay, so it probably gets cold there to a certain extent, but you guys get what kind of snow where you are?
So I'm not a good example because I'm in a microcosm, but let's say if we go to our surrounding area, we probably average about 80 inches of snow a year.
80 inches. Okay, so I mean, you couldn't have that coming down onto the crops that you got going. So like the whole thing would seal up in the winter time.
You can still with the passive solar, you just have the right type of windows up there so that the light's always penetrating, but they're at enough angles to always shovel off the snow. And actually, if you had it set up right, you could have them all shovel off the snow with also a tilt, so the snow goes into a particular spot. Because of the heat of that snow melts, and then you're collecting that snow as a free water source.
Right. That's pretty sweet. It sounds expensive though. That might tack on, quite a few $100,000 onto the top.
How do you think you acquire the resources collectively in a bunch of different regions to actually take these over and purchase them, or unless they do give them? But I mean, they're a for-profit corporation. I could assume if people were able to purchase them, that's the easiest way to actually make this happen, is come up with the money and buy it and do it.
That's really what it's down, is that you just purchase them from Walmart. That's pretty much what you do, and then you put together your nonprofit, so you don't have to pay taxes on the property, and then you fundraise the hell out of things like PBS does, and like everybody else does. But instead of getting people to donate money to the Humane Society that's out there in the middle of nowhere, or the breast cancer awareness stuff, you actually get them to donate into their own community and show what that benefit is. With their donation, they're actually getting something like, so I know you don't have a lot, but with your $20 donation, you get X amount of food a year.
Yeah.
You have it.
Sell it as a collective investment too, for a handful of people in the community. Not that you'd want to have it like the 40 Thieves, because that is a possibility. But if you had people of the community who are saying, "Hey, I want to invest And it's a way they could actually, it's a legitimate investment that would pay them back well, because not only is their environment better, the food, everything, but it would create industry. So if people were willing to fund it on the front end, you just make it a genuine contract where they benefit in whatever way. And if people got an extra $100,000 around, rather than, you know, right now the stock market's so scary, nobody knows what crypto they should buy, what, you know, but hey, you can invest right in your backyard with that money. People could figure out ways to do it with IROTH, with their retirement, because I know you can take your retirement funds and you can use it to buy real estate as long as it's not a business for you. So as long as you weren't actually affiliated with the production of it, you could use people's IROTHs to fund it. And
yeah, that's outside of my wheelhouse.
I think there's a lot of people sitting around with more than 6 figures that like to actually invest in their community and have
Kristen,
a legitimate return.
Where are you streaming at? I was gonna.
I'm in Boston.
No, I mean, where your stream right now? Are you streaming on the internets anywhere, like through a streaming service?
I'm on YouTube, and it's Christian FNAP. I think is
okay.
my.
You stream through YouTube. Okay, I was just, if you're streaming on one of the other ones, I was gonna host you as well. So
yeah, I did not set this one up to go to D Live as well.
Okay. Hi everybody on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I have my link there. If anyone has my link there, they might be able to put that in. Let me ask you this. It's a super Walmart. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of square foot of space, right? That's in there. And I'm wondering, if you do it right, how many people could you feed that would be working there? Because maybe part of the thing is, when you work there, you actually have as much food from the inside as your family needs, or something like that.
So I can't answer that yet, because I want to be able to answer that. But in 2022, I'm working on everything here on my property. I'm gonna get an intern. I'm either building a house right now. I'm trying to figure out if I'm building a house or going to put up a little camper trailer for them. But I'm going to set up an acre, and I'm starting to put in some fruit trees into that acre now. I'll have rabbits and chickens for them, and then I'm going to get an intern. Well, preferably I want to actually get a young intern couple, and I'm going to work with them on that acre. And the goal is, with my help and their help and my wife's help, we're going to we want to be able to see if it's possible on 1 acre of land to grow enough food for the 2 of them to be able to survive for an entire year with the food that we can make. But yeah. I want to do this experiment first before I say it's possible. Through permaculture, I've seen the maths say it's possible, but since I haven't done it, I'm not comfortable to say it's possible yet. But that's my goal.
This should be a reality show, because every week I would tune in to, like,
oh heck yeah,
you know, like,
what if they starve? You know,
well, that they won't. They definitely won't. That's the thing, is they definitely won't starve. But the thing is I actually probably will probably live stream the whole thing, just because I love live streaming everything.
As long as you had livestock, though, right? You could do it.
Oh yeah. I think so. I think you could do it with livestock.
I'm breaking up. It's me, isn't it? My connection's bad.
I think so. Maybe if you want to try anything on your end, if you want to leave and come back, you can.
Yeah, it's probably me that's bad. Let me try it out.
A lot of tabs open.
No, I don't. I'm gonna have to leave pretty quick anyway, but I'll try it here one more time.
All right. I really like your idea, and I love all the things that you're putting together there, Justin. You know, just like that. That is a really cool experiment to see, because I'm asking Freedom the same thing. He's got a unique situation because he's 2 miles up in the mountains, which has a whole set of obstacles.
So I was going to mention, I see where Brian was saying that he thinks that Idaho is the best for cheap land. I actually don't think that there's not. Well, okay, there's probably states that don't have good affordable land, but if you find anything in Appalachia, you're set. If you find anything in the right parts of the Rockies and such, you're set. And the reason is because as long as you have your 4 seasons and you have access to a decent amount of water, you're pretty set. Yeah. Now our land might not be as prestige as I want it to be, but that's an easy fix. Just add some livestock and a couple years, and you can rebuild your soil pretty easily.
Yeah.
And like here, so I'm trying to build community here is really what I'm trying to do. So I've been really paying attention to all the land that's available, because I can't my current setup, I can't have anything other than interns here at the particular moment. Anyways, so I've been looking at land around. Well, I just recently found about a mile away. I think it's 260 acres, and they want about 260,000 for it. The one plus side about the property is it has an old homestead. The house is gone, but the well's still there, and it's got electric. But the biggest downfall I have to that property right now is the lack of internet. And I know that sounds silly, but what I have found with most of the young homesteaders that I talk to, and the survivalists and such like that are interested, internet is something that they need, because while older generations used to go to books, we don't always have the same access to the books and such anymore. And the internet gives us a whole lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
That being said, Starlink, we are going to be Southern West, or Appalachia in general, is going to be within the beta zone of Starlink. And so it'll be really interesting. Again, there's pros and cons of that, but sometimes at this particular point, if I can't change it, I just have to accept it and dance around whatever I don't like about it. But if Starlink comes in and offers a high-speed, low latency internet, that opens up a lot more land around me that becomes a lot more usable.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds really cool. I mean, I talk every day to people in like the truther community and stuff like that, and they're like, where can we go to get the heck out of the what's going on in the world? Everyone wearing all the masks and just like melting down society in the cities and suburbs and stuff like that. You get a lot of people thinking about changing their life up, and the common
Good time to do it.
Yeah, the common thread to a lot of them is that they have a great community of people, thousands and thousands of people that tune in and listen to them, on their shows and stuff. So if they could do that from a spot, and a lot of them have really good ideas about, getting away from the system that we were born into, doing types of things like Freedom did, and just like packing it up and moving to some place that's really downside.
Heading to the country.
Yeah.
Gonna eat a lot of peaches.
It's something where if towns and townships and districts, or however it's laid out, are willing to think about new living situations, like people setting up gardens and living and homeschooling, and almost like we've seen the government completely fail us. So now we take all this stuff into our own hands and we create something that's really cool out of the crap that they've given us. It's basically off the remains of what they left. They left us with a shell of a Walmart, and we actually create a village out of it, something like that.
Yeah.
I love your thinking, and I love, I would be totally into following a stream that is, showing this kind of lifestyle working, or at least the experiment happening, And it sounds like you're well down the path of getting something like that started. I mean, you got your own acreage, and you're looking around you, and you're building community and stuff like that. And so I'd love to, hook up with you and follow your progress and everything like that. If you want to keep updating it, like you've got your stream on YouTube, is it, or are you on D Live?
D Live and Twitch.
Okay. And I can't wait to, hear more of your journeys here, because I honestly think it's a very positive journey that you're on. And
I agree.
I see elements of it with freedom, and I see the stuff that's happening.
Everybody's got to do what they can where they're at. We're all at different stages of the process, but and then you find there's people that you interact with in your life, your family and your loved ones and people, friends, all that. People are at all different stages of what they're ready to take on as far as accountability when it comes to their food and their environment and all that. But it's just a fun process. If you have a passion for it, then guys like the doctor here, it's a blast to watch him because he's got so much information.
Yeah.
Well, there's three things I think it's important to mention. First off, when it comes to whatever you want to say, because people always ask. So I'm a localist first. I actually don't. I used to be an anarchist, and then I realized that some people need government. And that's a way to turn so many people off. So I think that if you move into a community, you get like-minded people, and you build a strong localized government based on your values and your views, kind of like what our forefathers used to have. That solves that first problem of them failing us.
Yeah.
The next thing I try to tell everybody is to be radically self-reliant, and that's whatever's best for you, whatever that means to you, as long as you're radically self-reliant. And that doesn't and don't mistaken the self-reliant as meaning you're going to go at this alone. It just means that you're going to do your very best until you need help from those around you, and then you're going to ask for their expertise or their hands and come like that.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting in West Virginia,
cheers guys. I really appreciated the conversation. I got to run here. I will catch y'all later.
Okay. See you later, Freedom.
I really appreciate it, bud. Christian.
Chad, thanks for coming on, man. I got a little more time, Justin. If
I can stay as long as you want.
Awesome, dude. Freedom. Okay, he's Freedom was talking about if you throw cannabis in the mix, and that's part of the crops. I don't know what your feeling is on having part of the growing supply be cannabis, just because it's a cash crop.
So it's not. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't. So here in West Virginia, it's illegal. So it's not an option I can consider just yet.
I got you.
But if you can grow a legal cash crop into the mix, like for example, one of the big things I've been thinking a lot about is growing ginger. Yeah. Because ginger's pound for pound is far more valuable than cannabis.
Wow.
So if I can grow ginger instead, then we can have some huge benefits.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's a root thing, right? So you're talking about like roots in the ground, almost like horseradish.
Very similar.
Interesting. Those are really interesting. I was reading about, what was it, wasabi, which is related to horseradish, and that's like a really valuable thing. It's only like a part of the world where the wasabi comes from. So most of the stuff that we get is just like fake wasabi. That's basically another root like a horseradish.
Yes.
But the actual real stuff is really expensive.
Yeah, and real wasabi is actually a little bit harder to grow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what this echo is. Let me leave and come right back.
Okay. It could be on my end.
Okay, let's see if that fixes it. Okay, I'm not hearing the echo from me anymore, so it was probably my side.
How is your where you are is really remote, but what kind, you got a cable company that brings internet to where you are?
So I moved here 15 years ago, and I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in Akron, Ohio. And when I moved here 15 years ago, I went back onto dial-up, and it drove me insane because I had been on broadband for about 10 years.
Oh my God.
I'd been on broadband since way sooner than most people on broadband. So I asked the company, the telecom company what they needed to do to bring broadband out here. And they said, oh, if we just have enough customers, we'll bring it out here. So over the next year and a half, I got all my neighbors' phone numbers and all my neighbors' addresses, and I called and said that I was interested in high-speed internet, and just said I was Mr. So-and-so or I was Mrs. So-and-so. And they felt that they had such a high level of demand in the area that they finally they finally brought in high-speed internet to the area.
Wow. When was that?
That was 2 years after I moved here, so that would have been 2007 or so.
Right.
So,
Well, there you go. I mean, you can do so much. You could do so much from a remote location like that, and you probably don't get taxed that much where you are. It's it really presents like some really interesting opportunities. When I was doing work in Nitro, the company I was working for took me out to lunch. They said, we're going to take you to Mexican food. And I was like, wow, West Virginia and, Mexican food. And the story is, this trailer was driving through West Virginia. It was a family of Mexicans, and the trailer broke down. There's something happened with the truck, and they weren't able to make it out of Nitro because the expense of it was like something expensive with the truck. So they just opened up the trailer and started serving Mexican food out of their trailer to anyone in Nitro that wanted to have some good food. And over time, it turned into like the best place in Nitro to get food. And when you go in there, you're literally sitting in their trailer, and it was like you're eating off their silverware and their cups and everything like that they were bringing across when they were driving through Nitro at the time. And then when they made enough to fix the truck, they were like, hey, we're really loving it here. Everyone loves this food. Why don't we stay? And they'd been there for like 14 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They never left Nitro. And they had, oh my gosh, it was packed. And it was some of the best Mexican food I've ever had. And that's coming from, I moved here from California, the Bay Area.
Okay.
And we got,
the Bay Area does have some really good Mexican food.
Yeah. San Jose, it rivaled all that stuff. This family knew how to cook, and they knew how to make great food, and all the plates didn't match. It was like sometimes you got a big cup, sometimes you got a little cup, but they just actually had no issues from the town to open up their door and start charging people for food out of their
Oh yeah, that's Appalachia for you. Like you're in most places you're not gonna get any any blowback or anything like that. You tell that story. But I'm a big sushi eater, but there's only 3 places in the world now I'll eat sushi. Alaska's one of them, and West Virginia is another one of them. Actually, every time I ate sushi in California, I always got sick.
Really?
Yeah, but the sushi place here, the one sushi place here in southern West Virginia, it's funny because when I first moved down here, it didn't exist. It's a very similar story to what you're saying. The people were passing through, and I don't know if they broke down or they just spent the night and they realized that this was just the place that they needed to be. And he was a sushi chef who started this place. But he found a way to get them to ship it, to fly in food of fresh fish every morning here. And so
That's
it was
amazing. Yeah. You mean it comes in like FedExed?
He has a deal with the one airport. So it comes in here every morning through the airport.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but anyways, it's just really interesting how the community just accepted it real fast. You had a bunch of backwoods rednecks that once they met the chef and they learned how to eat sushi, that became one of their favorite staples, and the community just accepted them in, and they knew how to make really good food. And there's just you know, Appalachia, and this is including Appalachia from I would say from Maine all the way down to Georgia. Anywhere in those Appalachias, there's gonna be a lot of stuff, a lot of opportunities that you're going to have if you have the right skills to fill in for communities that need those skills.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, you know, I was a consultant and I had worked with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and the military and stuff, and you know, I worked with engineers and software designers and stuff like that, and the guys from Nitro were like some of the best engineers that I worked with. They just like they had a really good approach to solving problems, and I will say that it was the only building that I went into that smoking was allowed. You could just like be at a like a team meeting, you know, for your
Allowed.
and you know, everyone's just like lighting up cigarettes in the meeting and stuff like that. And they told me about wildcat mining down there, you know, just going into a mine that's been closed and pulling out a truckload of coal or something and selling it. And you know, they said that sometimes they got caught, you know, these miners would get caught because they're not supposed to be out there doing anything on the property because it's a closed down mine. But these guys would have to go in and confront them and tell them, and usually it was like an armed confrontation. And I said,
Probably always an armed confrontation.
and I was like, well, what normally happened? And they were like, usually there's a bribe. And I said, wow, like you someone just like, and I said, what's a normal bribe? You know, like, is it thousands of dollars? And the guy told me usually something like a set of rims. And it's like, wow, you know, if you get caught doing this, okay, you're in trouble, but they won't take you in if you could, like, you know, give them a nice set of rims. Classic.
I don't know if I've gave enough information. It doesn't matter. We needed to get a new building built, and you have to have an electrician come in and build everything, and they want to have the paperwork for the electrician, but we knew how to do all that kind of stuff. I don't have my electrician's license, and the people I know don't have one in West Virginia, but we know enough of the skill set, so that's not that important.
Yeah.
So we got it all done, and they needed the paperwork from the electrician, and so we pretty much, I pretty much asked, well, what did the paperwork look like? Was it clear in a mason jar? And the person goes, it absolutely is clear in a mason jar. And so my electrical license that they got to approve my building was a clear substance in a mason jar.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. You know, it is a really interesting thing to think about, and if you get the right kind of people that are leading the charge in getting an experiment like that, and I think you're going about it the right way. Just do some small scale things, see what you can make happen. You know, if you could make something that's repeatable and scalable, and you've got all the math figured out from your 1 acre, then how many acres is the inside of the Walmart, do you think?
Oh, I don't know, because I've never been inside a Walmart that was empty, so I don't know what how much their storage space and like office space would also include. I would guess that most Walmart buildings would probably sit on something between 7 to 10 acres.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
Not including the parking lot, just the inside area.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. And you're right. You've got all the plumbing down. You've got aisles and aisles of fire extinguisher plumbing that's up there.
Easily converted. Yeah.
easily converted, drop things down into all the now would you have soil down there, or would you have like some kind of substrate or something?
Well, I'd figure out what works the best. I mean, I've been playing around. I've been playing around with aeroponics here. I've been playing around with hydroponics. I still really like growing stuff in dirt. I still see a lot of benefits of growing stuff in dirt. Some plants do well in one thing or the other, but I think in that scenario, it would probably be best to do a full mix of the stuff that grows better in soil.
Yeah.
Would be good in soil, but then if you can set up like an aquaponic system where you can have fish and you can have fish in your plants in that whole cycle, that would also be really good. That would also be really good too.
Yeah, those setups are, and we were talking about those a little bit before with the floating island idea. You know, perhaps you could have some kind of aquaponic setup going there, but you know, Freedom Grower was talking about how much kale he can get out of these 1 gallon containers, which is pretty amazing. He's got them all around his house, and you know, there's a lot of valuable nutrient rich greenery that you can produce in a 1 gallon of soil. You know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
You wouldn't even have to go that deep. You could probably have the whole setup be on containers. Maybe do it like Amazon, where you've got some kind of automation in there where you're moving pallets of stuff around.
Yeah, that would really be a good one. Like,
You know?
yeah, you could do well, and you might not even have to do you might not even have to do the automation. You could just do I mean, the pallets moving around, you could actually move, because of all the airspace you have in the Walmart, you could probably move all the stuff above you around and not necessarily stuff on the ground.
There you go. Just move the stuff around. Yeah. Now, if you were talking about like a roof setup, you may have to like position some things into, you know, a exposed area and then move them around and stuff like that. But a lot of that could just be like, you know, feel your way through it, you know, like evolve some of the techniques, not come in with like something necessarily, you know, fully baked, but like a few ideas that, you know, you're evolving as you go. But I love the whole idea. If you know, Freedom was telling me that he has a certain percentage of the food that he grows is something, you know, it's less than 50%. He has to supplement his life with his family with, you know, buying other products from other people and so forth. But if you could actually successfully get this couple to grow everything they need from the 1 acre, that's pretty impressive, you know.
In
But
theory, in theory, it should be possible.
Oh, definitely. And if you think about it, if you just modify your diet to a certain extent, it's definitely possible. If you know, if you've got potatoes and there got to be some crops that are just lots of sustenance from these items that, you know, like I would imagine potatoes are hardy and can keep you alive for a long time, you know. Leafy greens, you know, lots of spinach and stuff like that you know, if you're willing to modify your diet in certain ways, you could probably do it on less than an acre, right? I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, I think you could, yeah.
I mean, your experiment of an acre is pretty interesting, but you could have a whole mess of crops.
My goal would be to cut it down to even. My goal would be cut it down even further. Oh, by the way, I looked up the size. The inside of that Walmart is 250,000 square feet, which comes to just around 6 acres inside.
6 acres, wow.
So
that's a lot of area.
Yeah, because like I said, it was a super center. It was one of the largest Walmarts it was one of the large Walmarts that they built. So, and again, there might even be ways to just actually even dig up and take up the cement and get straight down to the preserved soil under the cement as well.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, no, I just like I actually think that we can do I actually think that we can we could rebuild we could actually build this on a half acre for 2 people. But that half acre would definitely require more mature trees for your fruit and nuts.
Yeah.
And really integrate and really be able to integrate your chickens. Your chickens into your system with a lot of companion planting and a lot of stack planting. It's also gonna deal a lot with preservation and knowing how to preserve the different types of foods, like with canning, with freezing, and such like that. That's also going to be key. But I actually think that 4 seasons makes that a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, how interesting would that be? Like all of these different processes and stuff like that necessary to pull this off, being delved into, like canning. And I was talking to my neighbor about the recipes that these older Russian family, they do a lot of things with cabbage, and they do fermenting and canning and of all these things. So year round they're eating these things. It's pretty amazing to think about how far off we've come in terms of fast food and everything like that, from just like a sensible approach to growing and storing all of the food that you need throughout the year. We're just so far gone from that.
Well, that's why I try to be realistic. So, like with the classes that I teach, I really, when I first started and I had my vision, like I was envisioning, being able to teach, getting in experts in, because I actually know quite a few people that do a variety of awesome stuff. But I was going to do some cob house building, and I was going to do a bunch of other like really awesome stuff. And then when I started getting out there and teaching, I realized that most people had, they had a really low skill set. Like they maybe had never, like some of the people in my class had never actually, screwed in a light bulb. And so like that's when I had realized that as much as I have this great vision and I really want to do this big world stuff, I realized it was a lot more profitable. It was a lot more. I was going to achieve more prosperity in the world if I started teaching the simple basic skills. So like in my classes now, or even on my streams now, we'll talk about how to cut open a tomato. So anybody that's listening, if you want to grow a tomato and you've never grown a tomato before, go to the store, buy yourself a tomato, slice it up like you're going to put it on a hamburger. Go to the middle, flip it over, you'll see all the seeds, you'll see all that kind of stuff. Stick that in some dirt, pile some dirt on top of that, water it daily, stick it in your windowsill. You're going to get 5 or 10 tomato plants growing up out of that. If you're super lazy and you don't want to harvest those, take that cup out, put it in a bigger flower pot, fill it with dirt, and let all the tomato plants grow up as a tomato bush, and you're going to grow some tomatoes. It is that simple.
Yeah.
And I say that though because I'm realizing a lot of folks have never got the chance to grow tomatoes or have never got a chance to grow their own food. So I've decided I've retooled a lot of my ideas and a lot of what I want to do to just focus on teaching people the very basics, getting people's hands dirty, getting people into the dirt, reconnecting them, because compared to our forefathers, our grandfathers, that kind of stuff, we are domesticated weaklings. Like if we tried to do half of what our grandparents did, we would have a tough time. That being said, our huge benefit we have right now is we have the blessing of technology.
Yeah.
Our grandparents, if they would have saw the technology that we had to make life easier, they would have jumped on all that in a heartbeat, because we just don't utilize our technology to the way that we should to make our lives so much easier. We actually right now use our technology to cripple us.
Yeah. I believe it. It's like everything that is being put in front of us as far as technology seems to be a trap of some sort.
It's no more a trap than having that rake stand straight, forgetting to flip the rake over and us walking past the rake and us hitting us in the face. That rake is still a super useful tool. We just not using them properly. We're letting them sit haphazardly and not using them the way they should be used.
So let me ask you this: you're a teacher. You teach classes. Is that are you a doctor? Is it like a PhD?
No, I'm a I went to college for many. I went to college for over 12 years, but I did not have a degree. I went to college to learn. That was my whole purpose of college. So I never took a class. I never took a class that I didn't feel like I was going to learn anything from.
Right.
I was never worried about. I had a trick on how I paid for college, which you can't really do today. But I had a trick on paying for college. And so I went to college. I don't have college debt neither. And I took just the classes that I wanted to take and never focused on trying to get a degree. I just focused on classes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my whole screen name comes from when I was a hacker, and it's a evolve from that. But the X doctor also comes from me taking care of my own medical coverage for the last 15 years. I've not been to a doctor in 15 years. And the only over-the-counter medicine, there's only 2 over-the-counter medicines I take, and one's Benadryl. And I only take Benadryl because if I get stung by a bunch of bees, I don't want to get swelled up and I raise bees. And then aspirin because I haven't quite figured out the proper doses of the willow bark yet. So when I get a migraine and I need to get that migraine down, I know what I can take with aspirin, and I haven't quite figured out with the tree things. But everything else, I've learned from some herbalists and some local people on making my own medicine, so I can treat just about most everything myself.
That's awesome, dude. And you actually have classes where you teach these topics?
So I used to do a lot more outreach programs before the event, and now that the event's here, I don't do as much. But I also have a nonprofit, and people can visit that. And I've got a bunch of free classes, and I've been doing more and more. I'm going to be developing more and more free videos that people can sit and they can watch. They can attend the class. They can instead of having to pay for a class someplace, you can get on there and like on a YouTube or something, and you can watch the class and such like that. Or if you jump into my live stream when we're doing things like yesterday, we did some stuff where I was getting into the beehive. And so I wanted to make sure everybody saw exactly what we were doing. So it was like a live stream class where we were getting into the beehive.
Oh, that's so cool, dude.
But once the event's over, or once everything's calmed down a bit, I will be starting to do I'll be doing more on-ground classes. I normally invite everyone to come visit me in Southern West Virginia. If you ever, as I tell people, if you want to find me on the map, just type in Mavis Manor, West Virginia. You can see exactly where I live. I've doxed myself so many times that I think everybody knows exactly where I live. And
nice.
And when the silly, go ahead.
Mavis Manor.
Yeah, Mavis Manor.
Nice.
And when all this silliness is over, I'd like everybody to come down and visit. That would be great. So
hey, it's a great time to travel now. Like even with the pandemic, I've got a buddy that's flying all over the place. He's to California. He's hopping on airplanes. No issue.
This is the probably our biggest issue is me and you probably don't see eye to eye with the virus. That's my biggest issue. That's probably our biggest issue first. So
you feel like it's a threat?
So without mincing words, it's a bioweapon that is airborne AIDS.
Oh, there you go.
And so with that belief system, that's why I fundamentally have a different belief system. But I do believe that the government is completely overreacting, and all these stupid rules are absolutely it's someone's personal responsibility to take care of yourself and your family and your body. It is not the government to tell you what to do.
Yeah. I think I might be along some of the lines that you're talking about because, looking into the viral transmission stuff, I was able with people in my family to actually ask a question to a whole bunch of people that got coronavirus. 17 people I was able to ask if they had the and I live in a town in Massachusetts that is one of the top towns for cases.
Okay.
And it's due to the senior centers.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking about the senior centers, and it's not the seniors that are there, but also the the people that work at the senior centers, a number of those got, they got coronavirus. And so the common thread that is pretty amazing is not one of the 17 people, when I asked them if they had the flu shot in the fall, all 17 of them said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what, it's a, yeah, you could say, well, that may be just tangential. It's not, but you're talking about 17 people, they've detected coronavirus, and they've injected some other viruses into their body just 6 months before. So what's the link there? And then you talk about the senior centers, and all these seniors have been given the flu shot because they're living in a senior center that requires it. So they come in literally with nurses and they inject everyone at the senior center, including all the employees. And guess what? 6 months later, you've got skyrocketing coronavirus detected at these senior centers. So I believe that some of the virus is coming in not only through doctored tests and things like that, but through previous flu vaccinations that they've had, and that it just takes a certain amount of time before it breaks out. And then at any point along the time, a lot of kids get the flu shot and they get something that's like the flu and their body just is able to process it. But when you talk about an 85-year-old getting a flu shot, when they come down with it, that could be it. It's like if they come down with any kind of flu at that age, it could be something that wipes them out, But I do think you're right. There's something really really kind of sketchy. It could be airborne, something other than what we were being told is happening.
My two things is I watched how China reacted, and China doesn't give a crap about individual people, and I watched how China reacted. That was all I needed to know from the beginning to know it was a bioweapon. The reason I say airborne AIDS is AIDS is just it's just a compromised immune system. Let's address what AIDS really is. It's just telling you have a compromised immune system. So
right.
If all this does is throughout the course of your life for the next 20 years for the young people, just lowers your immune system by 1 or 2% every year. But in 30 years from now, everyone that caught this is going to have a 30 to 60% less viable immune system. That means that long term, you're not going to live out to your proper life expectancy, which would be perfectly designed for a bioweapon to slowly take out a population, to slowly make a population sick, so they're more and more medical bills and stuff like that. So that's why I view it in that direction.
Hey, it honestly, the kinds of thinking that's happening, what is it, the Agenda
21
and all the kinds of things they list in kind of the architecture of how they're going to rule the world. There's a lot of creepy stuff like what you just laid out as far as long-term slow growth, like slow poisoning. And honestly, it's been happening for a long time. Whoever came up with putting the fluoride in the water system had a long-term plan in mind, right? It's
absolutely. Well, I mean, we know where that came from. It came from the Nazis, that they tried on the Jews to lower the IQ.
Yeah.
So there's actually studies out. If no one's ever seen this, you can Google this. You can go and you can do studies right now where they have women who are pregnant that drink fluorinated water versus women that are pregnant that do not drink fluorinated water, and that has the second largest IQ drop in kids after the age of 5. So it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. But the accumulation that they get over birth, and while they're developing and that kind of stuff, it really drops the IQ. So
it's amazing, dude. It's like we're born into like this creepy matrix,
absolutely.
That has the the strangest people run in this realm, you know? It's crazy.
Well, I put it this way: I run my own realm. I just have to deal with all the crazy people that think that they can control the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
but no, I understand exactly. I understand the analysis exactly what you were saying.
Dude, I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm gonna have to bolt, but I would love to continue brainstorming some of the things that you laid out, and I would certainly love to be a soundboard for any kind of thinking that you got going, and any way I could channel any creativity into your projects. I'd love to.
Well, if you use DLive, you can find me on DLive with my same name, xDr. Actually, if you pretty much use xDrFirefly on the internet, that should be me. I've pretty much got everything covered with that name. So, but yeah, if you jump over there, say hi, that kind of stuff. So, and anytime you want to chit chat about a variety of stuff, I usually can make some free time and such. So.
You're the man. I mean, the idea, it is like a Renaissance dude that I'm talking to, because like there are not many people that have like knowledge in these areas that you've accumulated. That's like a rare find these days. So my hat off to you and all the teaching you're doing to kind of like spread these seeds. Let me ask you, the tomato, if you cut the tomato, do you put it face down or face up once you cut it?
That's why I said cut it up like you're slicing it to put onto a hamburger. So you usually that's usually one of the center spots of it.
Okay.
So you got the rind, you got the rinds over here, and you're cutting right down the center. You get that nice. Then it doesn't matter which way you put it down.
I gotcha. So you're basically like slicing the sides off to get to the core, and then you put the core in.
Yep.
Like an apple.
Like an apple. And then if you want just a little bit more complicated than that, what's spectacular after that is, and if anybody's interested, just get a hold of me, and I will more than happy to talk with you or send it off. But after you get a good tomato plant growing, it is super easy to clone that tomato plant, and you can keep cloning it endlessly. So you only have to start that plant once, and then you can keep endlessly cloning that, and you will have endless amounts of tomatoes in all different stages, all continuously growing from that one tomato that you bought.
That's so cool. That I'm not sure who said it. Maybe it was you. Someone was like, the most profound thing that happened to me was when I realized that I could just put a potato in a bucket and actually grow potatoes, you know? And it was like such a simple act of taking a potato that had already started growing in his kitchen and, you know, just popping it in. And he had something like 8 pounds of potatoes that came out of that one little thing that he did, you know? And he's like, that totally, look at that. You got some.
Yep. This is just an organic sweet potato I bought at the store. I stuck it over top of my aquarium, and you can see it's already starting to sprout 2 plants.
Oh, nice.
And this is just a regular potato that I bought I think I got this at like Aldi.
Yeah.
So
they say the organic ones are better because they don't have a sprout inhibitor sprayed on them. Which,
yep, that is the reason.
And so if you take that potato, would you dice that up into many different sprouts and kind of put them in to your garden in sections, or would you just plant that whole potato?
So I would because there's like 2 major things growing. I would cut it about right here, and then I would plant this one, and then this one I would do the same thing. And because I've got some other eyes coming up here, I would put these back over my water so they can keep going. So
yeah. So right now I've got 5-gallon buckets going, and I've got celery, and I've got carrots, and I've got a pineapple, and they all are just like the ends of stuff that I had already bought, you know, just like the carrots I planted, they started sprouting, and they're going really well. It's pretty amazing. They're just outside, just natural rainwater and sun and everything like that. And so far, my celery and my carrots are like doing great. The pineapple's kind of a long-term experiment. It's going to take like 2 or 3 years before anything comes out of that. But
So are you aware that a pineapple is actually a vine?
it's a
So-
vine.
Yeah, so once you get that little one start growing up, it's actually going to want a vine. It's not going to grow like a tree. It's going to grow more like a vine.
I gotcha. So
It's going to need it once you get that extra little piece that comes up, it's going to need a little bit more space to go. And I will tell you, pineapples can be very, very difficult.
yeah, they did say you could bring it inside though in the
Oh
winter
yeah,
time,
and
it'll
bring
keep
it in.
warm.
Bring it inside, put some cellophane over top of it right after you bring it inside, spray down the cellophane, let it reacclimate back into your thing. And then when you want to water it really well, because it's a tropical plant, put the cellophane over it or water it, then put the cellophane over it so it makes like a little greenhouse, and then leave that for like 24 hours. Then you can take the cellophane off, and then when you're ready to do it again, that's what we've done and had the best luck.
Yeah. That's so cool. I mean, it's the first time I got 2 kids, and after the whole Rona thing, their school was canceled and stuff. So like this is just like one of the projects that we started doing, and we got some buckets and started putting some stuff in there. I'm gonna get some potatoes in there and stuff like that, but it's mainly just to experiment and show the kids what we can actually produce and eat ourselves and stuff. So how about the carrots? The carrots are gonna grow out. Like I have a bunch of green stalks coming out, but do you think they'll just fill up my 5-gallon bucket? Do they just keep
You're going to
going?
get, with that tactic, you're going to get a lot more green than you are roots.
Okay.
If you want the very fastest, funnest things for kids to grow, go swing by and buy some radish seeds.
Okay.
Radishes from seed to being able to eat is about 30 days.
Nice.
For kids just wanting to have something that they can grow and they can see it and they can eat it, that radishes are just spectacular for kids to really just get that whole concept and that whole idea down.
That's awesome. I actually think we got some radishes from the grocery store. They're like seed pods, something like that. Radish seed pods, and maybe we'll plant those this weekend or something like that. That would be good. What kind of containers would be good for radish seeds?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They
No.
don't.
I use radishes I actually use radishes to test my soil to see if my soil's good. So I've grown radishes in such a variety. I've grown radishes in little cups, and I've grown radishes in like 5-gallon buckets, and I've put them in like other things. Radishes are not picky.
That's pretty cool. And I happen to love radishes. There are a lot of people around here because in Boston, people grow radishes all over the place.
If this time of year, if you have like a hardware store or like any type of like gardening store, their seeds should be on sale, and most people don't just go out and buy a bunch of radishes. So you should be able to find some cheap radish seeds at most of the stores and such around.
Yeah. That's killer. Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time, and it was
welcome.
Awesome meeting you, and I
you
hope
as well.
Do some more conversations like this. It's so cool. We're at like a really interesting point where I think the society's collapsed enough, and people are kind of like trying to figure out some new ways of going about their lives and what's important to them, and hopefully part of that process, people will realize that a good connection to a well-grown food source is an important one. It's like everything gets boiled down to the essentials with this pandemic, and
Yes.
I think people realize that the food source, the the food supply is something that could very easily be cut off if it's like, if we don't like take it into our own hands. You know, it's something that is quickly being snatched up by all these corporate entities and stuff like that. And if we don't get back into it and we just let them continue to like run the whole thing and tell us what we need to eat and stuff like that, I mean, we're well into a shit show here, you know, with the food that they're serving. And you know, I think, like we were talking about before, with these commercial failures like malls and Walmarts and stuff like that, we're at like a really interesting time in our country's history where maybe going back to our roots, literally going back to like you know, working the soil and working different valuable things other than the technology that's been kind of driving us for the past 30-40 years, you know, at least. It's been
the world's going to be awesome in the future. Absolutely awesome. And the reason I'm 100% confident that the world's going to be awesome is because we're the ones that's going to shape it, because we're the ones that's going to be able to teach people how to get back control of their life. And growing your own food is how you get back control of your life. And once somebody realizes they can grow their own food, no one else can have control over any other aspect of your life. Once you realize that your basic needs can be met by yourself or your family, we won. That's all it takes. So the future is going to be awesome, thanks to awesome people shaping it.
That is so true, dude. It's a power that we always can take back, and if we do, we've totally won the battle, you know. It's like it's the ultimate freedom, you know, is having control of your food supply, and we've lost it. We've totally lost it, I think. But
we've not lost it. We just didn't teach the past generations how to do it. So it's now our jobs to regain that skill that wasn't given to us. It's, you know, it's not lost. It's just a book we haven't opened yet.
Yeah. Well, you're awesome, dude. Thank you so much for hanging
You're welcome.
tonight, and I'll see you down the line.
Sounds good. See you later.
All right. Later, Justin. Thank you, guys. I'll end on a song. How about, let's see if we go into space here. All right. Ready to go to space. Space.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds were at my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melody so pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining. Hey, Ceiling Fan Man, how's it going? Love to hang out, do another stream sometime. That was super fun. Same with Rasta Bear. Rasta Bear's out there making his own way with the streams, and I'd love to join him at some point. But he goes live at like 3 in the morning his time or something. It's crazy. I got a family here, dude. I can't. Last night I was up till, I don't know, 4 in the morning, something like that, on Stavely's stream, and I can't do it. I wake up and it's like I'm in another time zone with jet lag or something. Anyway, you guys are all doing some great stuff. I love Ceiling Fan Man and your streams that you've been doing. Tommy, tell the truth, man. He is like such an awesome dude, and I just love when he brings me into his world with his streams, you know, and he's hanging out, he's just having a good time, but he's also like hitting up a whole bunch of cool content. And I love just like spending time with people that are doing cool stuff online, like that last guy, Justin, and Freedom Grower. Thank you, Freedom Grower, for coming out tonight and talking. We'll do more of these in the future, do some more playing too. So, all right. Good night, everyone.